Talking about our phones today. So a lot of people bring their phones to their training sessions at the gym or on their runs or cycling activities. But the problem is our notifications.
Yeah, and just constantly having to be on. When we're talking about things that give us notifications, we're talking about text, we're talking about emails, social media alerts, Slack messages.
They also trigger a certain emotional state.
And they're meant to.
And they're absolutely meant to. I mean, we know our social media apps are designed to hook us in and keep us there as long as possible. Yep. And the phone is the same thing. So when we get those notifications, it does trigger emotions inside of us that are reactive. So instead of being focused and intentional and present in our workouts, we find that we're in this sort of anticipatory or like micro stress state where we are anticipating things coming in. Am I going to miss something? Yeah. What's going on? It's FOMO amplified.
Yeah. It's important to remember that even positive notifications still activate that stress response of like, what am I missing? It's that whole like FOMO. It matters. It matters that you're not getting those when you're trying to ask your body and mind to do credible things. Why? First, strength gains rely on your neural drive. They rely on you being dialed in to what is happening in order to operate optimally.
That's wild because there are actually studies where like if somebody is thinking about their training, that they actually see more gains. Or people who are recovering from surgery, if they imagine themselves walking, they can get back to walking rehabilitation faster. So your brain and body connection is so incredibly important.
Right, and what you focus on doing is what you're actually going to be able to do.
Yep.
Second, skill acquisition, we know this, requires focus. This is one reason why, especially if it's early morning and I'm doing something like lifting where I know I'm going to need a little bit more coordination, I will just either have my phone away or have it completely flipped down where there's just no chance of me getting at it. And that really does help to be able to focus on what you're needing to do and move and lift and be kind of have spatial awareness and body awareness. You gotta a lot of times shove that to the side.
Especially in the morning.
It's true, especially in the morning. The difference that we see, our AM classes, they are kind of zombies, but they just, they talk with each other a little bit less after they're fine, but during, they just cut their tie-tie. They haven't woken up. We don't have any daylight at 5:30 in the morning. It's still very, very dark. Chances are they haven't slept an appropriate amount. They definitely haven't had enough coffee. So many of these freaks don't drink caffeine until after. I don't know how, but they are very kind of almost like sloth-like coming in and getting up and running. So, having that and having your attention taken away is kind of a dangerous combo.
For sure, yeah. This also matters because recovery depends on nervous system downregulation. It's our whole idea of fitness is only actualized in the recovery phase. We need to not be at that high level of stress and strain all the time. And so we need some time away. We need to separate ourselves from those notifications. So if your workout is feeling rushed or scattered or even unsatisfying, this might be why.
Phone notifications and just being at the mercy of everything that they're throwing at us is going to negatively impact your workouts. We know this. Lower intensity is going to happen without even realizing it. Like, you are going to be distracted. You're not going to be able to do as much. And that's going to mean that your 45 minutes is not going to mean 45 minutes.
It also means probably longer rest times in between sets. I'll see people scrolling in between sets.
Yeah, there's no way that's 10 seconds. Yeah.
For minutes and minutes, just getting lost in it and then realizing where they are and what they're doing.
Yep. And then of course, which we kind of already talked about this, but sloppy movements. If you're not paying a lot of attention to what you're doing and how you're doing it, it might be a little ugly. And I will say, generally speaking, as someone who runs a few social media Instagram accounts, it does occur to me as I'm doing things like, oh shit, I should be taking that picture, right? But what I try to do is come up to maybe 3 shots that I want to retake at the end, right? So that I can get done with what I'm doing and be like, okay, I want to take those 3 and I'm going to use them this way, right? It's funny because working out a lot of times will inspire me to some of the content that we want to capture, but I can't let it interrupt me as I'm doing it.
Yes, definitely. Now, it's important to note here that notifications are different than using your phone for music. Like, music is fine during a workout. We've done a whole episode about whether runners should run with music or not, and our thoughts about that. And especially in a gym situation, but it's not about abandoning your phone and not using your music or your podcast. It's about using your phone intentionally. So there are a couple of different ways that you can do that. The first would be to use Do Not Disturb on your phone during your workouts. And this is just gonna, allow your music, but block all of the other things that are not important.
Number two, great idea, kind of builds on the last one, is using airplane mode and download your playlist. If you want to really lock it up, it's going to be really, really powerful, especially for shorter sessions where you feel like okay to be detached for 30 to 45 minutes at a time. Go for it. You got this. Use your iPhone as an iPod.
Right. The next one is a one check rule. So giving yourself one intentional check halfway through your workout where you know that, okay, I'm going to make it through these 3 sets and then I'm going to be able to check my phone and then I'm going to go back to what I was doing. This gives you a designated time to check in and feel like you're satisfied, you're scratching that itch, so to speak. But it's not between every set, and it's not going to be as distracting for your workouts.
I'm putting a note on this one.
Please do.
A lot of times when we are checking our phone, and this episode definitely came out of Brian being like, you need to check yourself with your phone because you are on it, like you do. You get addicted to opening things up and checking them. And I was like, yeah, that's a great point. And ironically enough, the next day I got an email about phone addiction. And I was like, this is me on a level. I realized that I was absolutely using my phone for moments where I either wanted to kind of procrastinate or disassociate, or if things got uncomfortable. So I think this happens a lot. People are working out, especially if they're working out solo, and they start to get a little uncomfortable, whether it's, running, biking, lifting, and they decide to take their little pacifier and what did I miss, right? And then all of a sudden, the thing unravels. So start to think about how you're using your phone and why you're using it at different intervals, and try to break it that way too. And I like the one check rule because it gives you permission to check once, right? Again, like you said, scratch the itch and then put it back down.
Yeah, and to that point, you can use your phone as a tool. So that's tip number 4. Use it for your timer, use it to check your program, use it as your tracker, but try not to use it for anything else. I don't think that avoids our FOMO necessarily, but it does give the phone a purpose during that workout.
And I even did this right on the track this morning. I used it as a timer, and because there was so much going on, I couldn't use it as anything else because that was the tool that it was needing to be at that time.
Right.
So all in all, we want you to use your phone and your technology to work for you. You don't work for it. So tell us how you're breaking your phone addiction. We want to see, but only do it on your time.
Not in your workout.